Hi, I'm Darshana Sharma, and here's my project for APPH 1040. So my activity choice is running outside, and my goal was to sustainably improve my endurance and speed, and my specific goal was to run a 5K under a 9:30 pace. So my background is I have no experience in running, and I have a history of cardiovascular disease and high blood pressure, and some benefits from running are that I would gain stronger muscles and bones, increase endorphins, which would improve my mood, and increase heart rate, which would ultimately help my cardiovascular health. So the methods I use were running and mobility training to aid that running. So to improve my running, I trained 3.1 miles by increasing speed per single mile per month. So in September, I'd run 1 mile every 2 to 3 times a week, October 2 miles, November 3 miles, and I would track my improvement by running 3 miles at the end of each month. So my idea was that by slowly improving my endurance and increasing my speed, I could build my way up to a faster 3.1 miles. So here's my preliminary data. My pace was 15:23. And here is my September data. The smiley faces are the days I ran. And on the side here are my best paces for each week. And you can see I was in the 12s and 13s, but I ended in a 10. And I'll explain why I did that. And here in October, I was in the 9 and 8 minutes, and my final pace was an 11 for that month. And in November, I was mainly in the 9s and 10s. And my reason I think my pace improved so drastically is because before I would run sprints and then walk, which would decrease my pace dramatically, whereas I began to run longer distances and be able to go and jog for longer, which I think ultimately helped my pace become more consistent. So here's a start versus end, 10, 15, 23 pace versus 9:40. And here's a picture of me on a run. And for mobility training, I perform leg and mobility exercises such as seated hip rotations and hamstring scoops. Um, and this ultimately helped with me deal with less pain while running, and it was easier for me to start stronger if I was more warmed up, and I was less sore in following days. So here are some examples of the activity I did. Here are my hamstring scoops, and here are my seated hip rotations. So these ultimately help my hips and stretch out my hamstrings more. Oop, and I don't know how to go. Okay, so pre-activity, I had a 15:23 pace, and I had consistently tight hips and muscles. During the activity, my pace fluctuated a lot. And after the activity, it's become easier for me to walk and run longer distances, and I feel less stressed, and I feel more productive during my day when I wake up and I do run. So some changes I made was that I initially aimed to run 3 to 4 times a week, but instead I changed it to 2 to 3 times as I found that I was too busy, and I used Strava instead of my Apple Watch as I found the distance to be more accurate. Some resources I use are Run Long and Run Healthy and The Planted Runner. So these just gave me ideas on how to run faster and be more healthy while I ran and not to burn myself out or not to overtrain my muscles. And so my self-reflection is that my task was that I would train myself to run at a under 9:30 pace, and some lessons that I cannot start sprinting. I can show good results if I am consistent. And moving forward, I will continue to run 2 to 3 times a week as I've grown to enjoy it. Thank you. Mhm.